Hi there, Salena Kulkarni here with another episode of the Alternative Investing Podcast. My mission is to help business owners build high-performance wealth that delivers reliable, predictable cash flow through unconventional strategies so they can fast-track their path to financial freedom. Each week I share with you the strategies, expert interviews, and real people's stories around the topic of wealth and financial freedom. And if you're a business owner who wants to learn more about financial freedom through alternative methods, please head over to my website, freedomwarrior.com.au, where you can access my library of articles, interviews, and programs to help you on your way to becoming more financially free. All right, guys, so I am not intending to create a controversy with this podcast today, but I think the reality is that the more people I speak to, the more skepticism and negativity I'm hearing around this concept of property gurus. So what I want to do today is really open up this concept of how to tell who's a good investing practitioner and who you need to be wary of. And really where this has come from is a colleague shared with me the other day that in Australia, a population of 25 million odd, that 45,000 people alleged to call themselves expert in property. 45,000. Now, look, I have no reference to where that statistic came from, but what I do know is that is a ton of people. And the truth of the matter is, the more people I speak to, the more I see people roll their eyes when you call yourself a property expert. Because I think ultimately we don't necessarily trust people who say they're property experts. We look for ulterior motives, because, it's common knowledge now that historically the property industry has been very guilty of hiding fat commissions into properties sold to everyday investors. And so, you can't help but recognize that somewhere along the way, the industry has maybe done itself a bit of a disservice. So the truth of the matter is, the bottom line is, you cannot expect people to be agnostic. You cannot expect people to give independent advice, whether we're talking property people, financial planners, insurance brokers, etc., if they get paid as either a trail to sell you a product or they get paid by somebody else. If you are purchasing a piece of property and that person has a vested interest in selling you a particular piece of real estate because they'll get money from elsewhere, then immediately what that does is it clouds the waters. Whether or not that person has good intentions or not, you can't expect that their motivations are going to be entirely pure. So what I really wanted to address today is, how do you pull apart this whole idea of finding the right people to rely on when you're trying to grow your wealth and build your property portfolio. And the truth of the matter is, if you try and go it alone, if you try to do it all by yourself, ultimately there's two things that are going to happen. Number one, you're going to really have to go above and beyond in terms of your own education. So you're going to have to work very hard to find the right information to help you not only understand a particular strategy or a particular type of real estate, but you're also going to have to, really be on the front foot to make sure that you avoid the pitfalls. So, there's no question in my mind that, finding the right people to assist you on your journey is very, very important. The second thing I would say to you is that finding people who have access to better opportunities, better relationships, because they've done the time, they have done, the hard work of finding how to access good opportunities ahead of the masses. That is also incredibly valuable. So, I think what you want to be mindful of is, you don't want to tarnish people with the same brush. But I think ultimately, as an investor, one of the best things you can do is learn to ask the right questions. Learn to do due diligence on those people that you intend to rely on up front. Ask those pointy questions up front so that you can relax and, hand on heart, feel comfortable with the advice or recommendations made to you. Some examples of this. One of the things that's really important to me is that I invest with people who have a proven track record. So a really important piece of the puzzle for me is asking them, Do they invest in the things that they advocate? If so, how much? I can't even tell you over the years the number of property people, really nice people that I have met who are next to broke, who don't actually invest in property themselves, and, who, for whatever reason, don't follow their own advice. So for me, that is a huge red flag in terms of, deciding whether to work with someone. I think as well, from a practitioner point of view, it's really important to kind of tease apart theoretical knowledge from, hard-earned knowledge from having been not only in the field, but having done the deals themselves. So, it's very easy for someone to be recruited by a big firm or a big organization, be given the buzz language of here's how you describe property, here's how you do the calculations. It's a completely different kettle of fish to then understand how to apply that to someone's personal situation. And one of the skills that, I felt is really, really important is recognizing that not every strategy is a fit for every person. And one of the things that I've witnessed as a practitioner is finding that often mum and dad investors or new investors end up purchasing properties that they should never have touched because they were not experienced enough or it wasn't in alignment with the goals that they were trying to achieve. Now, there's a lot of pretty generic vanilla property out there, but that alignment of strategy, property, and personal goals, along with risk appetite, education, how much time and energy an investor wants to have, all of those things need to be considered. So when you're looking for investing practitioners to support you on the journey, it's really important that they're giving consideration to those things. Anyone who tells you that the property or the product that they sell is a fit for everyone is maybe, I would say, either green or naive. And so, you want to be mindful of that for starters. The second thing is that we want to work with people who not only take a macro perspective on what is happening economically, what is happening in the world, what are the risks, but we also want to look at the micro, like are they aware of trends in different parts of the country? Are they aware of trends across different sectors of the real estate market, different types of product? Can they say with certainty from a prospect's point of view, what are the pros, what are the cons, what are the risks? Because again, I've met literally hundreds and hundreds of investors who have purchased something in an alleged up and coming area, and then basically the property has done nothing. It's fallen flat, maybe even receded, gone backwards, but it certainly hasn't had the growth that the glossy brochure they received when they made the commitment. It hasn't even come close to meeting those kinds of expectations. And so, I think one of the things about the property industry is it's a wealthy industry, no question. There are people who are earning great money from selling real estate. And so it's really easy to mislead. It's really easy to make something look great, to make it sound great. Glossy brochures, fancy presentations. I recall there was a club at one point, and I can't even remember the name of it, but it was basically, and there's lots and lots of property clubs out there, but this property club kind of was formed on the pretense of we're here to try and get economies of scale, to negotiate better deals, all this kind of stuff. And in actual fact, they were really just glorified salespeople who were selling product to the highest bidder. So whoever paid them the best commissions, their product got put in front of the members. And you just want to be smart enough to ask the questions about, well, how do they find the deals? Are they receiving any commissions? Are they disclosing them? Ultimately, the point of what I'm trying to say here is I was pretty shocked by the idea that such a significant portion of our population regards themselves as property experts. And maybe they are. I'm certainly not saying that I know it all, or that that I'm the be all and end all when it comes to investing. There are certainly much more successful investors out there than me. But what I would say to you is, I'm measured and I'm considered, and I have become, through experience of having been tripped up, ripped off, sent in completely the wrong direction, I am very mindful of asking questions before I undertake any investment. And the thing you've got to remind yourself is that property, particularly in our country, is bloody expensive. And so every investment that you undertake, whether you've got an incredible business income or not, matters, because it's expensive to get into, it's expensive to get out of. And, right now, with the way that the economy is going, you can't afford to carry lemons. I mean, crumbs, at any point you can't afford to carry lemons, but particularly now. So think twice. Who are you relying on and why? And use that as your compass to make decisions about who you align with, because we want to find relationships that will endure over the long term. Even if you're working with buyers agents and alike who, they're usually some pretty decent people in that space. What I'm saying is that, think beyond how can I just use this person to get me one deal. You got to be trying to build relationships for the long term. So anyway, guys, I hope this has been useful. As I said before, I'm certainly not trying to discredit anyone, but I just know that not everyone has the best of intentions, not everyone is upfront. And, I certainly feel like I don't want people to make the same mistakes that I did early on in my journey. Thanks so much for listening to the Alternative Investing Podcast. If you're a business owner feeling frustrated that despite doing everything right in the property investing playbook and you're no closer to financial freedom, then head over to freedomwarrior.com.au to learn more about how you can use alternative investments to catapult your investing income and blend strategies to shave decades off your timeline to financial freedom. Till next time, take care. See you on the next episode, and bye for now.